Welcome to the Get Wealth Show, where we uncover the secrets to building real wealth through real estate from the people who have actually done it. Each episode gives you proven strategies, modern market insight, and actionable steps you can use today to build wealth through real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Michael Hoang.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Michael Hoang, and today I have the Dirt King himself, Trevor Probandt. How's it going, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I just made up that name, Dirt King. I think you're far too humble to take the title of nobility there.
Yes, sir. I'm a humble dirt dealer. How about that?
Dirt dealer. Oh man, I love that. You got to get t-shirts. So Trevor's got this school community. It's a free school community. He's got a bunch of people in there, and they do these free calls. And I'm gonna push you, Trevor. You're gonna have to wear a t-shirt that sasays Dirt Dealer when you do your
Dirt
calls.
dealer.
And,
I can make that happen.
Everybody who does a deal, you gotta be like, "What's your address?" I'm sending you a Dirt Dealer t-shirt.
That's awesome, dude.
Gotta call people up, be like, where's Trey? Trey got some dirt under his fingernails. Come tell us about what you're working on, Trey.
I like it.
All right, Trevor, man. We had a lot of fun in the pre-show here. We were chatting about dirt and everything about it, and he schooled me a thing or two on dirt myself. But before we jump into that, man, you want to tell everybody who you are and your background and whatnot?
Yep. Born and raised on a cattle ranch, 4,800 acre cattle ranch outside of San Angelo, Texas. It's in West Central Texas. Went to a little small school. Grew up literally on horseback, working on the ranch all the time. You know, my closest neighbors were 3.5 miles away, which kind of sucked when you're a little kid, but it was great when you had a gun and a dog and got to go run around and be a little maniac. Went to Texas Tech, got a degree in biology. I was a pre-med, took my MCATs, actually got into a couple schools, but one of the doctors who wrote me a letter of recommendation suggested I not get into the business. And he kind of told me what was happening in the medical profession. I'd always wanted to play football, and I was just good enough to try to be a walk-on at a Big 12 school, get my ass handed to me, and realized I'm not going to do that. So I want to be an orthopedic surgeon. Then Dr. Dean wrote me a letter of recommendation. And then I was like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this after all. Anyway, so went from there and did surgical sales back in the day, total joints, all that stuff. I was like, well, maybe I'll own a distributorship, right? Maybe do something like that. And then my buddy started an oil and gas services company in 2011. Was like, hey, we would love for you to come on board. Went with them. They started out with 5 of us. I was the only sales guy for the entire company, all over the country. Every place we had oil and gas. We ended up in 2018 or 19 having 220 employees. It was nuts. Like we went from like us all sleeping in one like shitty house in Williston, North Dakota, trying to start a company, which was awesome, right? Like I was still young. All kinds of craziness. But anyway, then went full-time into land in 2019, right before all the giant bust, but luckily it was in there when everything went better. So I've married for 16 years, got 2 sons. They're both bigger than me, both 6'1" and 6'2", and they are freshmen and 8th graders out here in San Angelo. So I am a broker or soon-to-be broker. Also do investment value add deals and stuff all over Texas, Oklahoma, and Arizona and Colorado.
Man, that's quite a resume. That's quite a background.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know how far we want to go into it.
As far as you want to go, man. This show's all about you. So you went from wanting to be an orthopedic surgeon to a dirt dealer. I love that.
Yeah, well, and part of it is my dad, granddad, and uncle in 1991. And of course, we come from a family that had been in the ranching business since, I guess, 1929. So coming up on 100 years, right? And what they had done is they bought I think it was like, I can't remember how many thousands of acres outside of Big Lake, Texas, way out west, that they bought and they subdivided. And so in 1991, they started doing the investment side as well. and I think they've bought and did rural developments on nearly 60,000 acres in the past, 3 or 4 decades, however long that's been. So I came, third generation, really kind of second generation of that, and me and family, but then also other partners from all over the place have done another 10 or 11,000 acres since 2021.
Wow. Wow. So you're a multi-generational dirt dealer.
Yep.
My, some might say you got dirt in your blood.
That's exactly right, and that's really why I do it. Is because I love, and I've done houses, I've wholesale houses, I've flipped houses, I've done all this other stuff. I could care less. I love being outside. I love I am my buyer, and so I think that's where I'm very very. That's kind of my, I guess, superpower is I know exactly what my buyer wants. I know how to read the land when it comes to utilization for each individual tract. And usually so far, knock on wood, it's gone well because of that. So that's what I like about it. I'm passionate about it. I could care less about your flooring, your color, paint in your house. I don't care about any of that. I like outside trees, woods, grass, rocks, whatever it is. That's what I enjoy.
Yeah, I love it too. I did houses for a long time, and I cannot do interior decoration design. At first, my wife picked everything out, and then I got smart and learned I just look at the comps of the houses around me that are selling for the price I want, and I just hand that to the contractor and be like, make it look like this. What's it cost to look like this? So you just steal the photos from the comps around you.
Perfect.
Life got easier.
Yeah,
Once R&D stands for rip off and duplicate, never forget that.
absolutely.
Never forget that. So let's back it up a little bit, man. Why don't you tell us about your first deal, your first land deal, I suppose, since you did houses before that.
I had bought and sold some cheap stuff out in Arizona and that back in the day. I had it's funny. I had talked to my dad and uncle, and when I was still in the oil field, and I put some money into some projects. A little bit of money that I had, right, into some of their subdivide stuff. But I was like, man, it would be great if I could get some cash flow off of dirt, right? And Dad was like, oh hell, he's like, they've been owner financing dirt out in way West Texas, Hudspeth and Culberson County since dirt was new. He's like, you need to do that. And so I literally Googled owner financing dirt or yeah, owner financing land, West Texas, and went on a rabbit hole deal in 2000, I guess 15. And then I found Mark Podolsky on a podcast, which I barely knew what a podcast was in 2015, right? And I was in the oil field in North Dakota, and I was listening to this guy and talking about how he does owner financing and things like that. And so I was like, huh. So I was like, well, this is easy enough. I just started sending letters, didn't take a course or anything. People started sending them back, and I'm like, 5 acres for $500, it's bound to be good somewhere. I barely found where the hell it's at, but so we started buying a few here and there, and then it took me forever to sell them. Like, just because I was not good at listing, I was not good at the whole process, the program, and doing all that, right? Like Facebook still, didn't have the marketplace, the way it is now and everything else. It took me forever to sell them, and then whenever I did sell them, I was making $100 a month, things like this. I was like, perfect. All I need is about another 3,000 of these to get the money that I want to have. And so I was like, man,
If you could just do 5 a day, you could feed your
5 a
family.
day, man. I am freaking set, And I'm not a process guy as far as I have no desire to have 13 different, VAs working for me and, Zapier and Airtable and all this other stuff that makes me want to throw up a little bit. I'm a relationships guy. And so that's kind of what I did, And so I guess in 2015 is when I first did a few. I had some really good luck in Northern Arizona, kind of right off the bat. But then I was just like, man, this is not what I was hoping for. And so that's when Dad was like, hey, why don't you just try to do one of these? Put the guys together. He's like, I'll help if we need to. So that's when in 2020, into 2020, When things were really taking off, that's when I put together a 2,424 acre deal in Sutton County, Texas, and that was kind of my individual jumping off point.
Oh wow.
So
So how did you find your first real land deal? Whatever you consider your
it's
first
a
real land deal.
broker relationships. John Duke Hudson is a broker out here, and I've known him forever. And so almost all the deals that we do are all broker relationships. We don't are cold calling brokers and discussing things with brokers because when you have a value add, this is the difference between everything else that you've ever heard about land, sending letters, doing offers, everything else like this. When you have a good plan to add value, right, on a good quality dirt, you don't have to get a big discount, right? If you can find something, let's say in your neck of the woods, right? Let's say it's in Waller County, it's west of Houston there, right? And you can buy it for $40,000 an acre. And you're like, my God, how the hell am I going to do this? Well, with a game plan, right? And the right team, right? You got a survey / engineer firm, you got a road builder, right? And you got a really good broker that runs comps, everything else like this, and more importantly, a good lender or investor, bank, bank, things like this. That's another thing with these better quality products. Banks love them, right? That's the opposite of all this cheap stuff that you see everyone else talk about. Banks love this kind of stuff. So the nice thing is you can buy those. Let's say you got 30 acres in Waller County that you can buy for $40,000 an acre. You're going to add another $20,000 an acre in road, running power, things like this, but you're going to be able to sell those for $150,000 an acre, 1 acre lots, right? That's the game. That's the game. You don't have to come in and lowball everybody. You don't have to deal with all the hate, things like this. You may still be lower. They still may want more than what you're willing to pay. But especially with a broker, I send him my full underwriter saying, hey, this is what my costs are. This is where I'm at. This is where I need to be. Right? The cool thing with that is when you're working professional to professional, they're not going, oh my God, I can't believe that you would lowball me. I take offense to this. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's so much easier, so much more professional to do it that way.
Yeah, there's less emotions in it. They understand it's a business. They know the game, and they know your offer is either going to work or it isn't.
Or it's
They're
not,
not
right?
They're not insulted. They're not dragging
Grandma's
out a
grandma's
long
not buried in the
conversation.
back, you know? I mean, really, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. Like, grandma's not married in the back. That's another thing with when you work with other investors that, let's say it's in Waller County and they bought some 10 years ago. They probably bought it for $8,000 an acre. Now it's worth $40,000 an acre. Then it's just how greedy they want to be. You know what I mean? Like, and some of them want to be really greedy. I was out in your neck of the woods 3 weeks ago, and I was just like, this is ridiculous. So there's a couple guys, Indian guys, and they were playing good cop, bad cop with me. I was like, whoa, chill, bro. Like, no one cares, right? This is deal's either going to make sense or it's not. I don't care. You don't have to play these games with me, right? It's pretty funny because he's like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I love it because it's just a professional way of doing business compared to the I sent 30,000 letters and I'm doing this and that. It's just I don't like it. So
Yeah, you joked about grandma being buried in the back, but for everybody listening, when you deal in land, rural land, that's a possibility. I remember as a kid, my father had a swimming pool business, so we kind of grew up poor, and then my dad got a swimming pool business off the ground. It did well for a number of years, and then the business did not so well again. So he kind of went back from hence he came. But I remember at one point we had a dirt pit going on some rural land, and man, my dad made a ton of money selling sand out of the ground. And it was literally we had an area fenced off that we couldn't touch because they had family members with headstones from like I don't know the 1800s or something or 19. I don't know when it was old. It was like
yeah,
hand chiseled tombstones in an area we couldn't go in. So you are not kidding when you said
yeah,
grandma's not buried.
yeah,
Sometimes in these family plots, grandma might be buried somewhere out there on the back 40,
100%, 100%.
Yeah. Uh, so tell us about so you talked about like your first deal you did and
Yep.
you're doing a lot of subdivides. Can you kind of walk us through a deal that you'd like everybody to kind of know about, like how it started, how you broke it down, contractors, and then how you exit it?
Yeah. So there's three different ways that we do our stuff. We do what is called a rural subdivision, which is usually going to be 10 acres and above, right? To keep ag exemption in the state of Texas, right? We have what's called acreage lots, which is going to be an acre and above. In the state of Texas, the reason that we would want to do that is because we can drill our own water wells and have our own septic on 1+ acre lots, right? And then we have what's called high density deals. I have not done really any high density deals. We've got one that we've got under contract, but the amount of headaches involved with that are absolutely astounding, right? The amount of cash that you're going to do, like, let's just play with numbers on that. Like, we will spend 4 times as much on infrastructure, horizontal infrastructure, meaning curb and gutter roads, all underground power, sewer, things like this. We will spend 4 times as much on that 120 acres on infrastructure than we did on the actual dirt itself, right? Like that's, I mean, we would buy 1.7, put in 5.6. Like it's nuts.
Wow.
The amount of cows that, yes, absolutely. But
And then, but
the
the
new
disposition,
valuation is through the roof when you're selling individual lots, right?
right?
So, and what we're doing is working with a regional buyer that would actually take it down over 5 to 6 years. Okay.
That was going to be my
it'd
next question. You're not
Yep,
dispoing it lot by lot. You're working with a builder that's going to buy chunks of those lots at a time.
absolutely. And the key to that is having a high end builder that is willing to put money down, go hard as that whole process goes through. Because you may go through freaking 2 years of headaches, right? As far as municipalities, luckily this municipality wants it. It's exactly where they want it to be. Things like this, it's great, right? However, that's something you have to deal with. This is something that is so far removed from anything that anyone talks about buying, a $30,000 piece of dirt for 10 and selling off for owner financing. It's completely opposite of what everyone else talks about on the internet, right? It's big risk, big reward. So the two things that we focus on is subdivision, rural subdivision, right? And the key to that right now, and as always is water. You have water for 2 different ways. Rural water companies, right? They're going to run water lines, or you're going to have to extend those water lines, or it's going to be groundwater. Okay? 10 acres and above, they can drill their own water wells, but you have to make sure in certain places in the state of Texas, there are certain places that there is no groundwater, right? All that stuff west of Fort Worth, all the way that goes all the way damn near to Lubbock. The reason that there's so many, the Wagner Ranch, the 4.6s, things like this, the reason there's all those giant ranches there is because there's no groundwater. No one moved there, right? There's no groundwater. So you have to make sure that you're in areas that you have good groundwater. That's key. If you don't have water, you don't have anything. Next, what principle we have or pillar we have is going to be access, right? The more access you have, more road frontage you have, the better, right? To cut off of, to give public access. We always try to do county roads are best, paved county roads are best, dirt road county roads are next best, and then the next one would be a farm to market road, because the thing is that's under TxDOT, right? And state highways are all underneath TxDOT, and you have to apply for entrances that you're going to be able to put in for those individual tracks, right? The best thing to do is have a county road, straight line, easy to do, right? Next is going to be power. Always have power on site. Don't ask me how I know, because if you don't have power on site, sometimes it costs you an arm and a leg to get it there, okay? Usually that is always going to be done in rural subdivisions through what's called a rural electric co-op, right? Out here is Concho Valley Electric Co-op, right? They're going to run 2 or 3 phase overhead power. That's just kind of what it goes. That's going to cost you anywhere from $15 to $20 a linear foot. They're going to come in and build power for you. So you have water, you have access, and you have power. Those are the 3 main things that you got to have, right? Trees are nice, things like this. It's all great. But the big deal with that is finding a surveyor or engineering firm that does a lot of those through the county. That's also especially true whenever it comes to doing what we call acreage lots, right? Those means 1+ acre lots. Those are going to have to go through a platting process, and those are going to take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to get that done. A rural subdivision, most of these, since the state changed laws about a year and a half ago, they don't have to go through a platting process, even if you're going to build an internal road, as long as it's owned by the road by the owners association. So like, I'm done throwing a lot of shit at you, but like, this is the kind of stuff you have to know if you're going to get into the value add game.
Okay, so let's run through the tiers again. So there's high density subdivisions.
High density
right?
stuff, and I'm not an expert at that. We're working on some, but I'm not going to pretend I am. Right? That's
All
not.
right, and so
That's not
these are the suburban neighborhoods most people visualize when they think of the suburbs around the city.
150 to 1,000 lots. Yes, sir. Yep, that's exactly right.
Yep, houses stacked on top of each other. That's how I'm living here in West Houston right now. And then the next level up is, what'd you call it? Is it acreage lots?
Acreage lots, which means 1+ acre lots, right? And that means asphalt roads that are taken over by the county, right, through maintenance over the long period of time. Okay, so what that is, that's going to be platted. You're going to have all kinds of different studies done. You're going to have to run. You don't have to run water. That's a nice thing about it, right? A acre and above, especially in your neck of the woods, you can drill a well anywhere. You're going to find water, right? That's not a problem there. What you are going to have
200
to do,
feet, yeah, very shallow to it, like 200 feet, yeah,
exactly, and plenty of it. Where out here we may be 400 feet, and we may not get any water, right? That's a whole different ballgame. So that's why I'm doing most of my stuff. That's why I go your direction. I'm all east of Austin right now because I want to be where the water's at. That's really that's no joke, right? Because water is a huge fight anywhere, especially west of the Mississippi, right? Of course, Louisiana, Georgia, all this other stuff. They're like, what the hell? What are you talking about? What do you mean not enough water, right? Well, anywhere west of basically Fort Worth, there is no water. So like the water fight is a huge thing, and it will continue to be a huge thing, especially in our state, because of the way more and more people are moving in, right? So now you have the acreage lots. That's a whole other ballgame.
Acreage lots? So acreage lots are going to be asphalt roads. You're going to drill water wells.
Yep.
You're going to
usually have buried. You're usually going to have buried power, right? These are going to be more of what's called estate lots, right? You're going to have a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 house on it, all in. You know what I mean? So you're going to probably sell those from anywhere from 150 to $250,000 per lot, right?
Okay. And what do you think CapEx is going to be? Do you do it per lot or per acre? How would you break that down?
Depends on where you're at. But usually we do the per acre cost, right? And this is the hard part, right? The bigger it is, the more you can spread that cost per acre. However, the bigger it is, the longer it takes you to sell out, right? And now, if I come in and I build 150 1 acre lot tracks, it may take me 8 years to sell all those things, right? I want to be surgical. I want to come in and build no more than 20 of those in any one particular spot. I build what's called boutique subdivisions, right? The cool thing with that is you can still, it's too expensive for the lower, like the mom and pops, and it's too much of a headache, but it's way too small for the big builders to want to mess with.
I see. Wow. So you found the riches are in the niches. So you got that little
100%. But you have to be close enough to civilization and an MSA to make it worthwhile, right?
That's right.
Like it needs to be close enough to Houston. It needs to be close enough to Lockhart. It needs to be close enough to Spring. You know what I mean? That this is a great way to come in those little kind of rectangle 20, 30 acre tracts and make a killing, right? Because usually we don't want to touch anything if we can't triple the value of it on those. On the rural subdivision, we don't want to touch it unless we can double the value of those, cash on cash. Okay, that's just the game that I always want 100%, even with my costs, right, associated with the development, whatever it is on a rural subdivision, which it may only be a couple of entrances in a survey, right? If it's got road frontage on it, or it may be $500,000. It just depends on which one you're looking at, right? How big they are, where they're at, how much road you're going to have to build, how far they're going to have to truck the inventory, like all kind of stuff like that. The other side of that, on the acreage lots, right? You're going to be much more capex involved, but the values go through the roof, right? So that's kind of the sweet spot as far as I'm concerned. And most people do not want to even touch this acreage lot stuff.
Okay, so it goes high density subdivision, then it goes acreage
lots,
lots,
and then it goes rural subdivision, which in the state of Texas is 10 acres and above.
10 acres and above. And that's more capital intensive to do those?
No, well, no. The acreage lots is going to be more capital intensive on a per acre basis compared to the rural subdivision. Rural subdivision is sometimes you don't have to do anything besides do a new survey, right? It may be 18 grand, right? Just like we talked about earlier. If you come across a deal, let's just play with numbers here, right? Let's just play with something you got some outside of in Burleson County in Caldwell, Texas, right? It's got 10 acres and it's all on County Road 1830, right? It's got 10 acres on it, but all of it's got frontage. It's a beautiful rectangle. It's got power all the way down the side there. Now I can come in and I can cut those 10 acres all into 1 acre lots. And I can get those ready because they're out kind of further away from everything. I'm not even going to put any restrictions. If you want to put a mobile home out there, you can, right? Now I took something that I bought for $8,000 an acre, and now with basically $15,000 worth of headache in a survey, now it's worth 25, 30, 40,000 bucks an acre. That's the way with that skill set, right? A simple survey, knowing the right people, know the rules, things like this. You can take some of those offers that you send them and they're like, hey, I won't take a dime underneath what this thing's worth. You offered me $450. It's going to be, it's worth $100 all day long. And before you're like, well, there's a dead deal. Throw that away. But then you say, hey, I'm going to run comps on 1 acre lots or 2 acre lots, right? In this market. And now they're selling at freaking twice that or 3 times that. Usually be 3 to 4 times that, right? Now you took a pissed off owner that you lowballed, and now you turned your trash into treasure.
I love that. And then in Texas, most people don't know this, but in Texas, if you're breaking land into 10-acre chunks or larger, all you need is a survey, right? It's not hard to break into 10-acre chunks.
That is correct.
And there's ag exemption. For anybody who doesn't know what ag exemption is that your taxes are dramatically lower if you get an ag exemption, if you produce some kind of agricultural products on your land. But I believe in Texas, the minimum is 10 acres to do that.
There's also wildlife exemptions as well, which depending on your county can be anywhere from 12 to 8 acres. And then they also have honeybee exemptions now. If you put a honeybee deal, you could go down to 5 acres. Oh, this is a Fredericksburg rule. All those little small places around Fredericksburg, that's what they do.
So I didn't know. So I was actually going to tell a bee ag exemption story. I know somebody who has 10 acres, and I guess they were operating under the old rule where they had a local beekeeper and they sign a lease agreement with them. Yep. And that beekeeper comes and puts a few hives on their land, pays them next to nothing, pays them like $100 a year, and then gives them a percentage of the harvest of the honey. And they get their ag exemption. Their taxes are lowered, but it still had to be 10. This was years ago. Had to be 10 acres. And now you're telling me there's a new rule where they can go down to 5 acres if you're using.
And every county is going to be different. That's not a statewide. Every county is going to be different. Just like every wildlife exemption county is going to be different.
I see. Okay, that's county specific. Okay.
Yep. For those, right? The ag exemption as far as the state is 10 plus acres.
I see. Yep. And so the sweet spot for you is those acre lots. Is that what you were saying that you?
That's where I'm really focusing on that right now. Like, dude, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 6 deals in the pipeline right now. Right, one we could buy for $640, do about $40,000 to $50,000 in improvements, and it's worth 1.4. Right, double your money. Right.
Wow.
We got another one that's $290,000. It's going to take a little bit because it's got a little bit. I won't be able to cut as many as I want to just because of the access to it. But like that one's going to be probably worth 670, 680, right? That's triple your money on that one, right? Like, but those are simple, just cut off the road. I've got another one that's in your neck of the woods. That's in Waller County. That's 27 acres, right? So we're going to lose about 20% of that. So it's going to be about 18 lots, 20 lots. Building the road. It's just a little rectangle. Build a road, cul-de-sac it, run it down, right? Going to buy that for $37,000 an acre. The 1 acre lot sell for $170,000 to $200,000 an acre.
Whoa. All right. You need an investor, Trevor?
I need all the investors I can get. That's kind of where we've been, right? Like this is we just talked about all this stuff. You're like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. Land, I love land. I love everything about it, blah, blah. But like we talked about earlier, here recently been talking with professional money managers. They're all skeptics. Everything, it either fits this box, right? Or it doesn't. And the amount of headache and the amount of or inability for people to understand why anyone would want dirt. Like, you try to talk to a guy that lives in New York City. He's a good Jewish boy that grew up in New York City, has always lived in an apartment, even though he lives in a multi-million-dollar apartment now. And you tell him, like, no, there are people that absolutely would love to have 2 acres, in Belleville, Texas. And they'd be like, why who gives a shit? Like, why would anybody want that? And you're like, you're not the buyer, right? Like, it's insane because it's the truth. But yeah,
I've had to tell newbies that when I'm teaching them single family,
Yeah.
they're like, why would anybody sell me this, or who would want to rent this, or who'd want to buy this? I said the worst thing you can do is put your brain in your tenant's head or in your seller's head or your buyer's head. All I want to see is the data showing it's happening. Are people buying and selling these houses? Are houses leasing out on time? Then you don't need to know the whole story. You need to know that there's demand, and if you can fill it, you make money.
You're
And
not
it's
the
the same
buyer.
thing.
Yep.
Same thing with you are not the buyer.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean that's really the last frontier for me is just capital stack, right? And so we've always done, friends and family stuff and things like this. The thing is there's only so much money with the friends and family, right? And in this last year, like we're still sitting on several $1 million in inventory that we're having a hard time selling because again, freaking interest rates have been so high, right? And so, like, the value hasn't gone down; it's just stagnated, right? Your equity flakes, though, you can't pay mortgage bills with equity flakes, you know. And so, like, it's just one of those deals. Like, hey, it's never going to be enough money, right? There's always only thing I talk about all day, every day, right? You got deal flow and you got cash flow, right? That's all that matters all day, every day. You're always trying to market for more investors. You're always trying to market for more deals. The nice thing about it is, you go into these professional meetings, you talk to these guys, and you're like, man, for me to set up a fund and for me to deal with all the rules of the SEC to pay these guys what they need, plus I'm basically only making a certain amount of money on a fee basis. You're like, this is not worth it. I would much rather do one-offs with people that, I learn, get to know from, other relationships and other deals and things like this. That's kind of where I'm almost gone to, at least right now, the way that the world is, the way ups and downs and downs and ups. Here's the good thing about it. When you talk to people about this stuff, you can literally get appraisals for as is, and you get an appraisal for what we call a bulk lot appraisal. You have someone that is a third party person that is going to say, hey, Trevor is full of shit, or hey, Trevor is right on the line. And it's interesting. The last 4 of these that I've done, they have come in not only on the buy side price, exactly what it is, which is infuriating sometimes, but you're like, you talk to the appraiser, And he's like, "Oh man, you got such a great deal on this deal," and you're like, "Well, yeah." And then the appraisal comes in exactly at the price you bought it at. You're like, "Oh, thanks, bud." And but like the bulk appraisals on all that stuff also comes in exactly what I told the investors and had them with the underwriting, like to the dollar. You know what I mean? On a price per acre basis, the new valuation on it. And so the nice thing about that, if you are an investor, if you are someone like that, you know what you're getting on that and where it's going to be. And so that helps when you have a third party that can guarantee that. Obviously, you can run comps, you can do all this other stuff, but when you have a real appraisal there that's going to say, "Hey, this is what it's going to cost, this is where it's going to be," it helps out.
Wow. So on the acre lots that you're doing,
Yep.
the end buyer is building a house on them, or are they putting a mobile home? What are they doing?
Almost all of these are going to be higher end, right? And so we'll put some deed restrictions on them. Um, I think mobile homes are great, especially new mobile homes, things like this. But for the most part, these are all brick and mortar, 1,800 square foot and above, stuff like that. They can live on there, in a travel trailer for up to a year as they're building. But you set certain light restrictions on those, right? Where bigger lots, it's not nearly as big a deal.
I see. Okay, so that's why you said rates are making this inventory sell through slower because they're coming out and building a beautiful home on there and putting up a
That's
nice
that.
fence.
I've got one. Yeah, I've got one right now in Burleson County, Texas, just southwest of College Station. There, I'm more proud of that product. It comes with minerals. It comes with all this stuff. I mean, it is a beautiful place. The thing is the past year, they're like, yeah, I mean, $200,000 for a lot is great, no problem. But then they put together the house, they put everything together. It's about $1 million. They're like, the hell with that, right? At a 9% interest rate, no real person is going to afford that. It's just tough. That's where
Right.
that's where I've been trying. And again, whoever figures this out is going to make more money than Davy Crockett. Like to be able to come in and to bring in that capital, that new capital stack, to be able to offer owner financing on all those.
Right. I was thinking the same thing. If you could owner finance, you unlock a
Oh,
huge
dude,
pool of
it's
buyers.
night
A
and day,
huge pool
right?
of
Like,
buyers.
and it's not the 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 acre or $5,000 lot in way West Texas or middle of BFE, New Mexico. Like these are $150,000-$200,000 lots, $250,000 lots. If you can offer owner financing on those, even they're going to sell in a heartbeat.
That's right. You just got to find the right investors that are in no rush to get their money back.
Yes, and I need to talk to more people. And of course, I mean, I don't live in Houston or Dallas or things like this, right? And so that's where I'm trying to work on that. I kind of live in 100,000 people, and there's more stuff done, more business done at the golf course in Bel Air, Houston, right, every day than there is out where I live. So
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I'm working on.
You got to come out, brother. I'll take you to some meetups with some old money and some people that got some longer timelines and
Dude, I would love
millions
to. But I mean,
millions of dollars
that's
in
where I'm at,
self-directed
right?
IRAs.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm at. Where I'm at right now, I've got more deals than I've got cash.
That's a high quality problem, sir. That's a high quality problem.
Well, that's the value of doing things differently than most.
Are you ready to get started on your real estate investing journey? Well, we put together free resources to help you get started. Check the link in the description.
Yeah.
When
So
you got a different game plan, it helps a lot.
yeah. So let's talk about so we talked about high density subdivisions, we talked about acre lots. Let's talk about rural subdivisions. So we're talking 10 acres and plus. So
Yep.
tell me about a deal like that. Break the numbers down, the contractors I would need, the permits, whatever I would need to do that in Texas.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to that Burleson County deal. 130 acres, bought for 1.1 million. Right. We spent $230,000 on a road, $44,000 on power, $8,000 on a new gate and entrance, $17,000 on a survey, and the new value of that is 2.8 million.
So what was your
So
all in number? If you had to guess.
we're at one 1.3, almost 1.4, almost 1.4.
What's a new value?
2.8.
Look at that. Like, and how many units did you have to sell? Like how many
9.
lots?
9.
9.
Yeah.
9. Look at that. You just have to make 9 sales.
Yeah. Well, and again,
Any
that's
more?
that's what I love doing, right? Keeping it 10, 12 lots, right? And again, in the heyday when we did that 2,400 acre deal in Sutton County, BRR ranches, you can actually look it up, right? Like, make sure I'm not blowing smoke up your backside there, but like that is, we did that one. We bought it for 3.4. We did not spend that much money at all on roads and stuff because it was already kind of set up there. But those are all going to be the 150, 200 acre lots. Like those are hunting lots, right? That's different compared to more of a homestead lot. And so we sold all those in like 6.5 months and made 1.79 million on it.
And so, wow. And so the end buyer, when you do these rural subdivisions, it's going to be a little different. They're not building a Class A home, right? So talk about the end buyer on these rural subdivisions.
Depends on where you're at, right? Like that deal in Burleson County, that I started the 130 acre deal. They're going to turn those into a nice, nicer, the barndominium stuff, the Joanna Gaines, the stuff like that, right? Where they're going to have their 3 kids and their chickens, and little house on the prairie,
If I'm doing 10 to 20 acre rural subdivisions.
Yep. That's it. That's who your buyer is going to be, right? It's going to be a homesteader. They're going to want their little mini farm. They're going to want to have, that's, their Fredericksburg kind of stuff, things like that. If you're going to get out west and you're going to be 40, 80, 100, 120, 200 acres, then that's going to be your hunting guy or family or whatever. And, they may build a house out there. They may have just a travel trailer, right? Like they don't have to have that much. They're just there to recreate and go hunting and get away from everything. But again, the closer you are to the town, the smaller the lots. The further away you are from town, the bigger the lots.
I see.
Yep.
And the infrastructure you need for a rural subdivision for the 10 acre plus lots, what are you putting in? Are you putting in asphalt roads?
No. Nope. Those are all weather roads, usually caliche roads. Some of them you don't even have to, if you've got enough frontage, you don't have to build any roads. Some of them,
right.
Right. If they all have the frontage that they need to or access off of it, then you just survey it out and put a new entrance and you're ready to go.
And are you doing overhead power or underground power?
Almost all overhead for the 10 plus acres, underground for the acreage lots.
And then do you have to drill the well on those lots or does the end buyer do that?
You there? Shit. Oh, are you there? Michael? Are you there? Son of a gun.
Well, we had a little bit of a connection issue because Trevor really does live that dirt lifestyle there. So we lost connection on his rural internet. He puts in every service you can imagine except fiber, apparently.
We have fiber, and sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know what the hell the deal is. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So last question I asked you before everything went dark was on those rural subdivisions. Do you have to do you drill the well or does the end buyer do that on the 10 acre plus?
Just depends. Most of the time we let them drill it. We can do what we call, there's 2 different ways of doing that. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll do a rebate for it. We get a quote from our water well driller because here's the problem. Just because it's where I think that you should drill the well and the best place, especially, on a 20, 30, 40, 60, 100 acre lot, I'm never going to do that because just because I think this is going to be the best place to put a house does not mean that's going to be the best place to put a house. And I can sink 20 to 30,000 bucks into a well that they'll never want or need, and it's sunk cost that I won't mess with. Like that's usually what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do a closing, and a lot of times even if they're using banks, we can do for a well and fencing. They'll allow us to do a basically a rebate as long as it stays within the overall numbers as far as that, so they can kind of wrap in those capex costs if they need to. On like acreage lots, we'll always drill a water well.
Yeah, that's like a requirement. They want it to be livable.
100%. And we can save a lot of money. Usually if we're going to have a guy that's going to drill 10 wells or 20 wells, we can usually get anywhere from 20 to 30% off.
Nice. Okay.
Well, I mean, hell, if all he's going to do is drill a whole bunch of 200-foot wells back and forth there, he's going to make 20 grand, 30 grand, and get in 2 days. He's money good.
That's right. They like being able to drive to the same job site every day.
Absolutely.
All right. So walk me through this. I'm totally new to this. I'm doing a 10-acre plus subdivide. What contractors am I going to need?
The biggest one is a surveyor. You're going to need to have a surveyor / engineering group, but usually just a surveying crew. What I would do is I would go through and I would talk to I would find the last 3 kind of subdivides that have been gone through there or through the area, right? You see a whole bunch of, hey, I got 10 acres, on market, right? And then I would call that realtor and ask them for the survey or the plat. And then whoever that's going to have is going to have a stamp on it right there. I would call them. I'd use that, whichever one's there, and I would call them because they're going to know exactly what they need to do in that area. And usually they're really good in that area. They know the rules. They know anybody. If they have any problems, it's all going to be right there. That's the best way to do that.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're not talking about a surveyor that does a survey on the house in the subdivision in the cities that sometimes people order a survey when they buy and sell a house. This is a different kind of survey company.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep. Well, I mean,
okay.
some of them still do all of the above, right? It just depends on how big they are. But a lot of these guys are going to be one-offs, mom and pop kind of deal that may have 2 guys that work in one office. Those are usually the ones that you want to work with. And if they work a whole area, once you have someone like that, you do 1 or 2 deals with them, they're going to put you first no matter what. If you buy a new one, like I've got a couple of these guys that they're like, hey, because they know they're going to get 4, 5, 6, $20, $30, $40,000 deals from me every year. They're going to put me in front of the guy that's going to do 10 acres off of a deal for his cousin, right? That's the nice thing about that. They do good work. You build good relationships with them. It's the survey. A good surveyor will make or break you millions of dollars.
Love that. So I need a surveyor, and then who else do I need when I'm doing a rural subdivision?
Man, then that's what I would do is I would talk to, some brokers, realtors, maybe even some of the survey guys and talk to them about who's good at building, all-weather roads.
All-weather roads, is that like a gravel road, a dirt road? What would
all of the above? Caliche and, gravel, one way or other. You can even some of these areas you can get away with even doing smaller lots. You can even do a chip and seal, right? Things like that. So it's not a full-on asphalt, but it's kind of got a little bit of tar and gravel on there. Those are the 2 things. And if you can find a good one in both those areas, I would keep working those areas, right? That way you know what your costs are going to be. After a while, you just send a big piece and you send it over to them. And you say, hey, I'm kind of thinking about this, right? You use a land ID deal and you kind of map it out and then you send it to them. And then pretty soon you'll be like, yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And then you send it to your road guy and he's like, yeah, that'll probably be, this much per linear foot. And then you can work all your numbers backwards.
Nice.
That's the key, man. If you can really work 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of counties that you really get to know, that's the key to all that.
Nice. And then how am I getting this? We're doing overhead power, not underground power. So assuming I'm not subdividing along like a frontage road, a county road, how am I getting overhead power?
That's a big deal. Like I said at the beginning, I got to make sure that there's some sort of access to power to that property, no matter what. Right? I wouldn't buy anything if the power is 3 miles down the road. Right? make sure that's one of the deals. I got to have water. I got to have some sort of water underneath you, right? I got to have some sort of power. The thing is with power, you've got whoever you got, right? There's no, they're going to be in charge of that whole area no matter what you.
Yeah,
what
there's
you
no
got.
free market for power.
No, there's not. There's not. So,
all right, but if power's nearby, if it touches one of the parcels or something like that,
yep,
I'm
yep.
gonna have a contractor still come in and put utility poles and run overhead power, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but what you're going to do is you're going to get in charge. They'll usually have, you'll just call the main switchboard. It'll be Sally Mae or Susie Mae or whatever the hell it is. You say, hey, I'm doing a little rural subdivision out here. Who do I need to talk to? And they'll tell you, oh yeah, you need to talk to Jimbo, and you get a cell phone number. You call him, and you'll schedule a meeting out there with him on the site. And then y'all two will walk about kind of where you're going to be at, how it's going to be. They're going to engineer it. They're going to be like, hey, this is kind of be, this much per linear foot. And that's how you kind of figure that out. And the nice thing is usually you can call them beforehand. Some of the bigger guys won't give it to you until you get actually like engineered, like survey kind of stuff. But the smaller companies will be like, yeah, hey, how much does it usually cost per linear foot to do overhead power? And they'll give you a number, 14, 15, 18, whatever, dollars per linear foot.
And then that's it.
That is it, brother. That is it.
We got to have a road guy, we got to have a surveyor, and we got to have contact with the power company. And then we're not putting wells out there. We're letting the end buyer figure that out.
Still call the well guy, right? I would still call the brokers, get a hold of the well guy, say, hey, I've got 130 acres off of FM 60 over here. And he'll be like, oh, yeah, Mr. Opperman's old place. Because all those well guys know exactly what the hell is going on. It's insane. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. They're like, oh, yeah, those wells over there are about this much and this long. Also, what you can do is you can also, at least in the state of Texas, you can look up the wells in that area. And you can find out, you can look up well records and water well records, and you can see who drilled those wells the most recently. Find those. You'll see how the depths are, right? And then you can call them and say, hey, I saw that you drilled some wells for Sally Mae over here, a quarter mile away. I got a deal out here. We're looking at putting in 10 of them. How much do you think that would cost per well?
Wow. And then you can offer rebates and put the end buyer in contact if you need to,
100%.
but you're not drilling on that.
100%.
Okay, so moving down to the acre lots. If I'm a newbie and I see a tract of land, I said this might work for acre lots. What are my contractors looking like?
Same thing. You're gonna more of an engineering deal, but what you would do is you would go to the county and you would ask them. You go to the county recorder and you would ask them to give you the last 3 plats of acreage lot subdivisions, and you're gonna find out who they're gonna have that stamp again. You're gonna find out who they are. And you're gonna freaking call them and say, "Hey, I got a deal over here in Waller, right, off of Jim Bob whatever and Timbo's anything. Hey, what's your cost per lot on that, right? What's your cost to do the engineering to run it all the way through the process? And then once you're going to do, when you're going to talk to them, you're like, okay, who do you like? Who's 2 or 3 road guys that you like in your neck of the woods, right? They're going to give you 2 or 3, and you're going to say, hey, I talked with Jimbo over at SKG Engineering. He said that y'all do some build some roads out here. You know what I mean? I'm looking at acreage lot subdivision. What's the cost per linear foot to do this, right? And have them give you kind of a rough about, and always say, hey, I'm not holding you to it. Just give me a rough estimate on a 24-foot wide asphalt road for an acreage lot, right?
And is there any kind of permits that you're going to need with the city?
Oh, yeah. No, you're going to have to, that's a full-on, that's a plat now. Now it's a plat. Now you're going to have to jump through all the hoops. And so that can cost you 50, 60, 70,000 bucks to do that.
And what are they going to actually do other than take your money?
They do, well, they're going to do drainage studies. They're going to do all the, like, there's so much garbage you have to do once you're working on that stuff. I highly, 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 highly suggest trying to stay away from any kind of floodplain whatsoever. Stay the hell out of the floodplain. Don't mess with it. Don't look at it. Don't pass go. I don't care what it is, right?
Because of the studies are going to be
because of all the studies, environmental stuff, and as far as all that stuff is concerned, that's a huge pain in the backside. So, but then they have to go in and actually do the platting, and it's a nightmare. It can be a real pain in the backside. So let them do what they do, right? Like so every subdivision rules and regs, they literally have anywhere from a 3 to a 10-page checklist that they have to have on everything before it goes up for vote, right? Preliminary vote. And then what they'll say is, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. I need this to change, I need this to change. You go in, you change all that, and then you send it back within 30 days. Usually, again, that's all on paper. Once that's all done, then it goes through the county commissioners meeting. If you're out in the county, I've never done one in the city. I don't want to mess with anything in the city limits just because it's a huge pain in the ass.
Okay, so when we go down to the sub 10 acres, when we're doing like 1 acre lots,
You're platting. You're a subdivision.
Platting. We are a subdivision. You got to put deed restrictions on it. And the county has to look at it and vote on it. The commissioners court, the county commissioners are going to vote on not the citizens, but the commissioners court.
Commissioners, absolutely.
Okay, and they're always going to have something they want to change.
Always,
and you're going to have no choice.
Just embrace that, rub up against it.
They got to look like they're doing their job. I get it. Same thing when you have an inspector come out to a house, he's got to find something, right?
Always.
Yep. Okay, and then you talked about cost. Talk about timeline.
6 months.
6 months. You have to take title to the land before you can do this, right?
No, you do not have to. Well, yes, to get a finalized plat, yes, you have to be the owner, but you can take it through. Like you have it under contract, right, and under option period and things like that. You can jump through those hoops, the initial preliminary plat and everything else like that. You can do that without being the owner.
Okay, awesome. But you're still putting money down,
and you're spending a bunch of money.
That's right. Even if you're not taking title of the property, you're probably putting some EMD or some money in escrow for the
option
owner.
fee, whatever the hell it is. Yep. Absolutely.
And then you're paying for a platting, whether it goes through or not.
That's
non-refundable.
They're going to get paid no matter what.
Yeah, the government doesn't give money back. That's not the business they're in.
No, and to be honest with you,
it's not for us business guys.
It's not the county. It'll be your surveyor or your engineer that's actually doing the work per their rules and regulations.
I see, and you're not paying the county. You're paying the vendor, the contractors directly.
100%.
I see. Okay. And do you hire a third party to help you with the platting to put all that together and present it? Does a lawyer do that? You do that? What do you do?
Both. Depends. You always want to try to talk to someone that with the engineering firm that can do that for you.
Okay.
You want a cradle to grave option.
There you go. And you want to work with someone who's actually done a plat in that county or nearby.
And has done it recently and done it successfully. Right? So that's why you find the ones that have been approved, and that's the ones that you find the stamps.
Awesome.
Don't be cheap at that, dude. Do not be cheap at that. Find the guys or the gals or whatever it is that are doing the actual work.
Okay. And so we're gonna get the plat approved, and then we're gonna have our contractors go out there and start going to work to put in the roads and putting in the wells and putting in power.
Yep. And then sometimes you're also going to have in the process, you're actually going to have them come in before, like you're going to have a bonded road on that, right? You're going to have a bond paid for at least 2 years. You're going to pay everything as far as the road is concerned, maintenance, and then the county takes over after that. But they're going to do an inspection to make sure that road is done up to standards.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't think about that. See, a lot of places in the city, the HOA pays for things or the city takes care of the roads. In this case, you are paying for the roads for the first 2 years, and the county's agreeing to take that over.
Taking over maintenance, yes.
And why is that, Trevor? It's because the county wants that tax revenue. They want people to move in there and pay property taxes, right?
Hell yes, they do.
And the power company wants customers, and
they want to spin that they want to spin that little dial. Absolutely.
That's right. So I know what a bond means in the insurance and construction world.
Same thing. Exact same thing. That's exactly what it is, right? It's just construction. It's just a construction bond. That's all it is.
I see. So the county wants assurance that you're not going to go broke and disappear, that for at least 2 years, those roads will be maintained.
That's correct, sir.
Awesome. And then you build it, you chop it up, and then you list it with a good broker who knows what they're doing, who sells this kind of product, right?
Absolutely.
Which is soon to be you, because you're about to be a broker. So, how long before you become a broker, by the way?
I will. I mean, I've had all my points, everything, got everything. I just got to take my test, and I'll do that. Like my whole goal with all this is to turn Go West into as vertically integrated as humanly possible, right? And my whole goal, and this is where it comes personal, Michael, is like we had to sell off part of our home place whenever I was in college because my great aunt, it was my granddad and then my great aunt, and she left and moved to Seattle, was gone forever, right? She had enough of West Texas growing up. Well, and then they were like, hey, talk to my dad and uncle, and we're like, hey, would y'all want to buy this? And they're like, man, yes, but it doesn't make any sense financially, right? As a ranching deal. Obviously, we could have developed it. We could have developed it all off that highway and paid for it all. We didn't think about anyway. Neither here nor there. But I remember me and my brother. We had a 1978 single flatbed single cab GMC pickup that we used to use as our ranch vehicle all the time. And I remember crying like a baby, drinking Coors Light, drive like sitting on the back of that thing watching the sun go down with my brother because we had lived our whole lives running around on that country and it was gone, right? It was going to be sold off. There's four guys that came in. They sold some other country, did a 1031, whatever it is, but it's never the same, right? And I promised myself then that I was going to do everything I can to try to keep stuff if it made sense. My whole goal with what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help this transition of wealth. So all these people, especially these older landowners, especially in the state of Texas, but all across the world, all across the country, all these baby boomers are dying out. They're dirt rich and cash poor. They don't want to sell out. The kids left. The grandkids just want the money, or half of them wanted to stay there so they could keep it for their kids, and the other half wanted to sell it, right? What if I can literally be the option where, hey, we can keep the majority of this. What about we come in and we can develop this for you? We can do a joint venture on this side, pay for this other stuff, get everything going, and y'all can still keep it, right? What if we can come in and say, hey, I need to get this done? Like, my whole dream for what I want to do is to be vertically integrated as humanly possible, whether that's selling it, buying it, investing in it, joint venturing it, whatever that is. That's where I want to be. And so this is just kind of the next thing. My dad's already a broker. I've got my license for 4.5 years. I was just now becoming a broker. And so like this is something where I'm not trying to be EXP or whatever. I don't give a shit about that, right? I don't care about whitetail properties. I don't care about any of this other stuff. At least for the next 2 or 3 years. I want to surgically go in. I already spend tons and tons of money marketing all the time. Cold call, PPC, all this other stuff. I have tons and tons of people that want me just to list their properties. I can't do that from way out here when I've got a bunch of properties north of Dallas, right? It's just 4.5, 5 hours away. Makes no sense. But if I'm a broker, I can get them signed up and then I can help someone. I can strategically have very good guys or gals that have their license in these different areas. That's where I want to be able to come in and vertically integrate and be able to provide that kind of value across the state of Texas getting started, right? That's really where I want to be. And so that's kind of the whole goal with that. It's just to be able to surgically come in and make those improvements or provide that value to those landowners.
Brother, you are well on your way. That is a hell of a mission statement, man. I really felt that.
I may die before I get there, but
It ain't about the destination; it's about the journey.
There's not a day
Yeah,
I don't love it. You know,
I was born in the country, just north of Houston, out there, and but since I was a teenager, I've been in the city. I've been a cityite my whole life for the white collar opportunities that I've had. But now that I'm real estate retired and I'm looking at a land business now, and I've been doing some marketing to flip some land. I can hear the sticks calling, brother. I can hear myself getting back out there on a tract of land.
well, you know where Round Top is, right?
Yeah,
My wife loves that place, right? The whole whatever. Anyway, but like we've got a deal that just came across our desk, and there's three partners, and they're all fighting each other. Last year was slow. They did a development. they did the 10 plus acre lots, but we could come in and provide and cut them into 2 acre lots. They've already done everything they need to. We're going to spend about another $250,000 to get it where we need to, but there's the value that we add there is like $4.5 million in value, dude. It's insane. However, my wife, she's like, well, part of that profit is going to be one of those lots. She's like, we're going to have one of those lots there in Round Top, free and clear. I don't give a shit what you say. I don't care. I want one right there. That's an opportunity, right? Like for you, but also other people. Like if you have that game plan, right? Or if you're sending letters into areas that you really like, right? Like you know, by God, I really want to be in Belleville, Texas. I love the school. My friends go there. My family, others go there. I need to find me 10 acres way below market, right? Great opportunity, right? But now, what if you can find 40 acres and you can keep 10 of it, sell three of those other tracts, and pay for that one, or make money on it?
Brother, you're reading my mind. Me and my wife have already talked about this. My wife, I've talked about this in another podcast where my wife is from Asia and she came over here for college, and she stayed. First year she was here, she stayed with a host family, so she got to live in the countryside, and she got to shoot guns, go fishing, collect chicken eggs in the morning, ride four wheelers. And she thought it was funny because she was like, I thought most of America was like New York City, And then she got a Southern Christian family that she lived with, and she got that experience. So we've lived in the city, but it's always like her dream or whatever. When we retire, she wants a tract of land in the countryside. So I had already thought about, buying a big tract of land and selling off just enough, pay for everything, put a few bucks in your pocket, and keep a chunk of land, even if we don't move out there now.
100%. And
Yeah.
again, the cool thing is that is an inflationary, a non or it
hedge
always
against
increases in
inflation.
value. It's a inflationary. It's fight against inflation. But the cool thing is you can actually use that. Say you have you got 10 acres that's worth a couple $100,000, right? Especially in your neck of the woods, that's not hard at all. And you take all that profit, but again, you have all that profit, right, per se, that is not a non-realized, but you can lend against that.
That's right.
So you got that $250,000 that you could literally take a line of credit on, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you didn't make any quote didn't make any profit on those other ones, right? But now it's all in the dirt. The value is going to continue to go up on it, but you can also use that as a line of credit if you ever needed to do other deals or whatever that is. That's actually something. That's a real asset. That's the difference between Bitcoin and all this other stuff. That's a real asset that is lendable, that banks would love to lend on, especially you got it free and clear. That not only helps tomorrow, but it also helps today. And the nice thing about it is you don't necessarily have to sell that in order to be able to use the cash.
That's right. For everybody listening, what he's talking about is that debt is tax free. So when you sell things and make a profit, you owe capital gains. But if you take a line of credit out, or like putting a HELOC on your home, something like that, that is debt is tax free. So you could reinvest that money. You can lend it out, be a private lender, take that money, invest it in other deals, do whatever you want with it.
Yep.
And take money out without realizing a capital gains on it.
100%.
So, brother, let's talk about someone who's new to land, and let's talk about how to find these deals. So we're not going to talk about high density suburbs, but if someone, me and a lot of people that follow my show and stuff, we talk about like CRMs and we talk about data, and I'm really, really deep into the data. I can pull APNs for everything. I put data into bands. We can go as deep or as shallow as you need to, but if we're going to do like a rural subdivision, 10 acre plus, or if we're going to do acreage lots, you can start with whichever one you want. Tell us how we identify where there's a need, how to find the properties.
Biggest deal is to find where that breaks, right? I would find an area that you really like you personally like, right? And try to find something close enough to your backyard, right? Like you're not going to do this across the country. It's just, you're not. I mean, you can, but it's unless you're willing to drive, fly, hike, whatever all the time, right? Find something that's pretty close to your neck of the woods. And then what you're going to do is you're going to literally get a hold of a realtor that sells a bunch of land in that area. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tell them to send you all the for sale and sold comps at 100 acres, at 50, 100 to 50, 50 to 20, and 20 to 10, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to find a mark where the break is, right? And so whether that's you got to buy it at 200 acres to make it worthwhile at 20, or every market is different, and I want to be able to find where is that size that I have to buy it at, and then have to sell it at in order for me to double the value of that. And that will always be something. And sometimes you may have to try to find 200 acres in order for it to make sense on the smaller tracts. Try not to do that. I want to try to keep something 40, 50, 60 acres, right? And then I can cut it into 10-acre tracts, maybe up to 100. If you can't find anything there that can double the value down to 10-acre tracts, find a new area, try to do that, okay? This is where it's just going to take, you're going to take your real numbers, you're going to find your breaks, wherever that is, right? Most of this time is going to be from 100 to 10. You're going to double the value of it, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to find out who the surveyors are, who the road guys are, right? You're going to figure all these things out. You're going to find out your costs, where your costs are going to be. Now you can go hunting, and right now is a great time to go hunting online with listed properties, right? A lot of these guys ask way too much. They have stuff on the market for a year and a half. Nothing's moved. This is a great opportunity for you to come in and lowball somebody at a number that you think makes sense and see where it goes. I spend hardly anything with off market. Almost all of my, especially my rural subdivides, are all on market. Everything. The thing is most of the time, and some of my best deals, some of my absolute best deals are on properties. Write this down, kids. Some of my best deals are on properties that are overpriced online. Why? Why do you think?
Well, this is someone, I love this because a lot of people I talk to on this podcast, we do off market strategies. We find things that are not for sale, but you have an on market strategy. And when you make offers on overpriced things that have been on the market, have long days on market, it's someone who's raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in selling.
But no one has hardly made any offers because most people, 99% of people look at that some bitch and go, no, that guy's out of his damn mind. And they may be, and they might not be a real seller, but I've had $970,000 drops from their asking price because no one made an offer for over a year.
Wow.
Right? And then if they say, because again, it is amazing how much, and that's the cool thing about it too, guys. When you're looking at $1 million, $2 million, $3 million piece of dirt, getting a $500,000, $700,000 reduction is not out of question. Especially if they've owned it free and clear and have owned it for 3 generations.
Yeah, the answer to every question you don't ask is no.
100%. And right now, there's lots of brokers that are dying on the vine. They will do anything for a freaking commission, include go to bat for you.
Yeah, so if you can show a broker that you're a real buyer, give them some proof of funds, talk knowledgeably
Proof of funds,
about
but also
area.
the game plan and the underwriting on it. Right?
Right.
This is the reason why I have to be here. I can't touch anything unless Trevor said that I can only touch stuff if I can double the value of it.
And I love that because when you go off market direct to seller, like I did with houses and like some land investors that I know are doing, there's a lot of emotion when you deal with the seller or the homeowner, the landowner. But when you're going through a broker that's listed, you could just talk logically to the broker. You show them the numbers, you let them know why, and then he handles that emotion. He handles that conversation, and they'll come back to you. In many cases, they'll just tell you straight up, I don't think I can get a deal out of this guy, or hey, we're almost there. We can get it done. And you let him handle the day and night text negotiations, emotions, screaming, cursing. And I love that strategy.
My last 2 deals, the brokers laughed at me my first time I offered them. They said, you're out of your fucking mind. Why are you wasting my time? Bought them both. Almost exactly what I offered them.
Wow. Yeah, and so sometimes you have to first...
Because they, even in their mind, they're like, there's no way these people are going to do it. They wanted this much. I've had to deal with this stuff. I've had this thing for a year. No one wants to buy it because they're overpriced. No one's going to take that until you make a real offer.
a real offer and you substantiate it, sometimes you might need to convince the brokers and say, here's the comps, here's what I can do. Maybe show them. One of the ways I was taught to raise private money in single family, I was taught by a cat that had been doing it since before we had spreadsheets and computers. He had a book, an actual book of photos of before and after of the houses, and then the HUDs before and after. And he would show this like a family photo album from like the 80s. Nowadays, we can get a little more sophisticated. So I could imagine, especially a guy like you could also have some kind of packet where you show brokers, here's what I've done before, here's my work, here's my numbers on this deal, and here's why I have to be here. And then you can get the brokers to go to bat for you.
And here's another thing too. Right now, there's a lot more people that are willing to trade time for equity, right? Like in the opposite of what you would think on a wholesale houses. There are people that are now more open as far as land sellers, if they can still get their number, to get creative, right? Owner financing, joint ventures, things like this, short-term owner financing, right? And that's where I'm working on multiple ones on that. I like, listen, if I don't have to come hardly any money out of pocket to you, I don't have to deal with a bank, I can spend all my money doubling the value or tripling the value of this property, then cash you out at the new valuation. I'm going to do that all day long, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I
right?
love that. So to kind of back up and go through the steps for someone who's looking to do this, one, we want to find comps, sold comps. We want to look at the like 1 to 10, 10 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 100.
Yep.
We want to look at the sold comps first to see what's actually transacting and what things are selling.
And you'll do the same thing. You'll do the same thing on the acreage lots too, right? You want to see that probably anywhere from 50 to 5 acres, right? And then the 1 to 2 acre lots, right? And see where that is. It's the exact same thing.
And we were looking for at least double the value.
Yep.
And then we start looking at things that are listed on market that haven't sold and start penciling and underwriting and see if these deals will work for you. But if there's not much of a difference in price from the big stuff to the little stuff, then that's
you don't need to be in that market. Get the hell out.
Yep. And you would search an entire county. You wouldn't do a zip code, right? You just pull the data for the whole county.
But make sure you're not comparing the northwest part of the county and the southeast part of the county, right? You can see $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 an acre changes on that.
Wow, because one side of the county might be near a river, or might be near a city, or
better school district. That's a huge deal. Yeah. Better school districts can make a huge difference depending on where you're at.
That's right. That's a good point. Okay. And then how would someone go find the right kind of broker that's going to pull data, take them serious?
Go to lands.com, find all the sold properties, find all the brokers, and you'll start seeing the same brokers over and over in a market.
There you go. Lands.com. And find the people that are actually doing deals in that market.
Always work with the proven people. Same way we found the damn surveyors, the ones that have already worked through and gotten plats approved.
Awesome. And then when someone gets a deal and actually really does get a signed contract on that.
Yep.
Would you recommend a new person go out and do that first deal on their own?
No. Hell no. Nope. You know why? Because you're going to have blind spots, and there's 2 things are going to happen. I've raised $980,000 in 10 minutes, right? And I've tried to raise $500,000 and couldn't do it at all because the deal wasn't as good as I thought it was, right? The cool thing and this is why I use banks too. I use banks all the time, right? Because they're not going to lend on something that's not a good deal. And then investors aren't going to lend with you on a project, right? So what we do is we take an LLC. Whoever comes up with however you negotiate your individual percentage of shares, right? You're going to say, hey, I'm going to bring the deal. I'm going to run the deal. Y'all are going to bring the money for this deal. We're going to come in together on this thing, 50-50, 40-60, whatever the hell you want it, whatever you can negotiate it to be. That's going to end up being the shares of the LLC and the valuation of that deal, right? So whether that's a cash deal, whether that's a bank financing, however that is.
But between who? What parties are going to hold shares of the LLC?
You and whoever the investors are, however you negotiate that.
I see. So the guy running the deal and then the people investing in the deal.
Yep.
But if someone's a newbie and they're looking to partner with someone on the first deal, they found the land, they got it under and I want to be clear to people, finding the land, just like in houses, is not you got a deal. That's called bird dogging, and you get a little fee for that, or maybe a wholesale fee or something. But
Yep.
when having a deal is having an executed purchase and sale agreement, someone's selling you the land. So if someone has this deal and wants to partner with you or partner with someone experienced, what do you want to see when they come to you and bring it? And then what kind of split would be reasonable for a brand new person?
Depends on the individual project, right? How much will it carry, right? If it's a smoking home run of a deal, I'm way more willing to give more of a percentage to somebody else, right? It just really depends on the individual deal. Also depends on how many moving parts are involved, how much homework and how what the team is around them, right? Like you have to put that team. This is not investing on individual tracks. This is putting a team together, and development is all about team, right? Whether you're building a skyscraper or you're doing a rural subdivision. Make sure that whenever Michael comes to, you come to a bunch of guys and you say, hey, I've got SKG engineering, I've got D3 road construction. These are their numbers. This is my underwriting. This is who we're going to use. This is Jim Bob over at, Encore Power. This is the team. This is the plan. This is my underwriting. These are the costs. These are the extra carry costs. This is a 10% overage. This is where we're at. That will get you much further than this. This sounds like a pretty good deal, and I may have it under contract. Right?
Look at that. So more the work you do, the bigger the slice of pie is yours.
Absolutely.
Love that. And then would you be, if you're partnering with someone on that, how are they getting paid? And is a bank or your investors going to not want to see other names on the title? Are they a GP and LP? Also, are we filing a syndication on this?
No, well, no, not you can, right? But then again, okay, if you get a bank as a GP, you better be bankable, right? Because you're the one, they got your ass in a bind, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you're going to do a sure on an LLC and you're going to come in and everyone has their shares, the nice thing is that your asset's still going to be on a bind, but you're going to have to make sure that your other investors have the net worth and the liquidity to carry the project. That's true whether you're doing an apartment deal, a land deal, whatever that is.
I see. So you taking a junior partner, someone who found the deal, put it under contract.
Let's just say that. Let's say you bring me a deal, right? And
Right.
and it's worth $1 million right now. It'll be worth $2 million when we're done. We're going to spend about $150,000 on the deal, right? That's going to give us about 130% cash on cash, right? If we're going to use leverage on the deal. So you're going to come in, you're going to be part of the deal, and I'm going to say, hey, I want 80% of my money, right? Playing with these numbers, that keeps you at 30%. So you're going to be a manager of the LLC, but you're also going to have 30% of the shares of that LLC, right? I'm going to then, me and Todd over here are going to come in, and we're going to come in with the money, but all of us are going to be underwritten, and all of us are going to make sure the bank's going to have the whole team, plus the LLC, everything else like that is going to go to the board, and whether or not they approve that loan depends on the net value of the whole team. It doesn't mean that you have to have all that money, right? And the credit and all this other stuff. And to be honest with you, credit report doesn't mean anything. It's just the net worth, right?
Right. In the commercial space, they're not underwriting you, they're underwriting 100%. The assets. Yeah.
So the team around you, the people around you have to have the liquidity and the net worth in order to carry the thing, right? You can't just put three Jim Bob, you know what I mean, Joe Schmoes together on the deal. Or one guy can, right? I mean, it's really depends on what you can negotiate and who the lenders are.
I see, but putting a junior partner who's a deal finder,
and then also I would make sure I was the boots on the ground and the sweat equity putting the deal together, getting the project done, all of the above. Yes,
that's right. Yeah, it's almost like an apprenticeship program because you guys.
If you're not going to do that, if you're just going to bring a deal, put it under contract, you may make $50,000-$60,000, 30, 40, $50,000,
like an
assignment outside of the deal, but you don't expect to get paid big.
That's right. But having a junior partner in the deal on the LLC doesn't kill the deal. Like in some apartment deals, that could create problems if someone is like a junior partner without experience or without a ton of net worth. That can create issues. But on this land situation, it can be.
That's why we always try to double the value or better, right? Worst thing that happens is the bank takes some red ink, but they're in it 50 cents on the dollar.
That's right. There's a huge cushion in these things.
That's why we don't F around with tight deals.
That's right.
It's either hell yes or hell no. Don't do it.
I love that. I love that. It's either a hell yes or a hell no. And then you can syndicate land. I mean, you can syndicate
100%.
anything. You can
Absolutely.
syndicate anything. But the most common structure that you're seeing is an LLC with a couple of money guys and a couple of operations guys.
100%. Yep. Then it
Have you?
costs $1,200 to get all that paperwork done versus 15,000.
Yeah, right. But so you've never syndicated?
Oh, I have. Well, I have. It's not worth it.
Yeah, find one or two well capitalized partners instead of 20 or 30 guys with some pocket change. Yeah.
Hate it. Yeah, no, not for me.
Awesome. And if somebody has a deal and they want you to take a look at it, how would they get in touch with you?
Just shoot me a call or shoot a text. My cell phone number is 940-736-8797.
Look at that. He gave his cell phone number out and everything. He's as crazy as I am. I give my cell phone number out in all these podcasts too.
Hey man, you never know. One deal might be you make $1 million on a deal.
Oh, right. I know it. In land and what do we call this? Land fragmenters? What do we call this?
Shit. That's what the TCEQ calls us, land fragmenters. So yeah, they say they gotta spit before they say that. So
the land subdividing, whatever you
yeah,
want to do, land
real
development.
assholes. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and there's that kind of possibility in this asset class, guys.
100%.
All right, let's start moving to the last segment of the show here. So I ask everybody on every episode, like what book either got them into real estate, which is in your case, you're a third generation. This is a family business for you. What book either got you into real estate or changed how you did real estate?
Think and Grow Rich.
Love that.
That one, I mean, dude, you could read that once a quarter from here on out. That one. I also love the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Right, like I love any of their stuff, and then Michael Gerber's any of the E Myth stuff. Even though I am terrible at that, building the systems, stuff like this, I'm not very good at that. I've gotten better at it, but yeah, I'm a relationships guy. I'm a big vision guy, things like this. I'm not a details guy.
Yeah, I love Napoleon Hill too. I got man. I keep talking about it on the podcast. I need to get it out of my safe. I have a 1 ounce silver coin of Napoleon Hill's face.
Nice.
And on it, I'm not a crypto guy, but on it, it's slabbed, and on the back is a cold storage for crypto. On the slab, I'm not a crypto guy, but I bought it. Jerry Norton had a thing where he bought a mold. For everyone who doesn't follow Jerry Norton, you should be on YouTube. And they made only like it was either 100 or 500 of these 1 ounce silver coins, sold them, and then he destroyed the mold live on YouTube to show that there would never be another one. And so everyone who mentions a Napoleon Hill book, I always got to bring up that story.
Nice.
So I really got to bring it out of the safe and keep it on the desk so I can show it to the camera when we're doing this.
Yeah.
All right, brother. So we are big believers in the Go Giver here. And I like to tell everybody in every episode, when you were born, your parents gave to you long before you were capable of giving back. And when you work a traditional job, you work 2 weeks or more before you get a paycheck. So if you think you're going to come into this world and with firewood in your hand and staring at the fireplace saying, give me warmth first, and then I'll give you this wood, it's going to be a very cold winter. So I ask every guest on every episode, what can you give the audience today?
I've got a little school group, SKOOL, and it's school.com Dirt Road to Wealth, which is named after my podcast. And then I go over tons and tons of stuff on my podcast, which is just land investing, the Dirt Road to Wealth. And I mean, there's enough on those. I don't know. I forgot 200 some odd episodes that, I mean, you could do it all without anything else.
Yeah, you are a real go giver. You give away a lot. I've been slamming every time I'm driving, man. I'm listening to your podcast right now. I'm
Nice.
I'm on the Dirt Road to Wealth kick right now, man. I was like, I got to get this guy on.
Nice.
All right, and then what can the audience give you today?
Man, like I said, if you can go join the school group, right? Like to talk to more people, see what's needed in the marketplace. It's funny. Most of the time, I spend more time actually doing real estate than talking about it. Versus some people. But yeah, like that's my deal. I love land, listen to the podcast, give a review, right? I would love, shoot me a text, tell me I suck and what I need to do better, right? That's the whole goal, man. It's like to be better tomorrow than I am today.
Man, I love that. I can really feel that in you when I listen to your content, when I talk to you. I can really feel like that's who you are in your soul, man.
Yes, sir.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, this is Michael Hoang. Until next time, signing off.
Each week on the Get Wealth Show, you hear real conversations with investors, entrepreneurs, and operators who are building real wealth in the real world. If you're ready to start building wealth through real estate, click the link in the description for free resources and tools to help you get started. And if you want more practical, real-world conversations, follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. We'll see you next time on the Get Wealth Show.